Hey, United Indie Agents. I want to have a quick video here about earnest money disputes because we're really seeing, over the last 18 months, a very sharp increase of these disputes that I have to handle. And ultimately, I think what's happening is listing agents, both our own here at United and listing agents at other offices, are giving sellers unrealistic expectations of what happens with earnest money and who should get it when the deal falls apart. I got my license back in 1994. I opened up a brokerage and I've been a managing broker since 2004, so that's 20 years. I would say in the last 2 years, we have had more earnest money disputes than I had the previous 18 years combined. I mean, this used to be a once or twice a year issue, and now it's once a week. And ultimately, what I want you guys to think about, you don't have to agree with me, but in my experience, earnest money almost always goes back to the buyer. And your seller should know that. Not always, but almost always. And I think what changed quick commercial. I forgot to mention this at the beginning. Scherrer Brothers did have another successful closing with Ben Spiegel at iServe. This particular one, we needed a 2-week closing. We got it. Ben was able to get it pushed through quickly and easily, and it did close. I, again, remember you guys out there, if you haven't used Ben Spiegel with iServe, he's right here in the office. Please keep that in mind. Anyway, back to the earnest money discussion. I think what's happened over the last, since it became such a hot seller's market, so let's call that, partway through 2021, sellers began to feel like if something didn't go their way, if a buyer wasn't able to get financed, if a deal fell apart at inspections, these are all very historically typical reasons for a deal to fall apart and the buyer to get the earnest money back. But I think the seller mentality changed because, they had 10 multiple offers on their property. So if something doesn't go their way, they want to get paid. They feel like they've been damaged. And I think listing agents are feeding into that. So I want you guys to do a better job, everybody, but my listing agents in particular, do a better job of setting realistic expectations. I have always felt like our purchase agreement is very pro-buyer. It's very buyer friendly, and there's many contingencies built in there that allow that when the deal falls apart, that the earnest money goes back to the buyer. And even if the seller feels like they deserve it, or the listing agent feels like the seller deserves it, that is very rarely the case, and we spend a lot of headache, many months going through a lengthy process only to have the earnest money go back to the buyer. So if you find yourself in that position, please give me a call. I can help guide you through it. Again, if you're a listing agent, I want to be on your seller side, but a lot of sellers are just, the expectations are just out of line, and they feel like, the buyer didn't get financed. I want the earnest money. It's very clear in there that is one of the contingencies that the seller agreed to from the very beginning. That's just one example. Anyhow, if you guys find yourself in these positions, bring me in early, but I think you'll save yourself a lot of effort if you just remind your sellers at the very beginning when you're going over the purchase agreement and the section about earnest money comes up. I want you to start to tell them, hey, if this deal doesn't come together, it's very rare for the seller to keep earnest money. It almost always goes back to the buyer, and that'll save us all a lot of headache. Guys, if you have any questions, give me a call. I'm always here. Thanks. Bye.